Okay, so true story. Last month, I moved into a new apartment, and the kitchen sink started making this horrible sound, like a groaning, gurgling sound every single time I turned on the water.
Oh no, that sounds terrifying, honestly.
It was. And here is the embarrassing part. My neighbor, this older guy named Mr. Rahman, he clearly knows everything about plumbing. I could just tell. He has all these tools in his garage, very organized, labeled boxes, the whole thing.
Okay, so you had the perfect person right there.
Exactly. But for 3 days, 3 whole days, Rose, I just avoided him. I would peek out my window before leaving my apartment to make sure he wasn't outside.
Wait, why? Just go ask him.
I know, but something about walking up to someone and saying, "Hey, I need your help," it made me feel so awkward, like I was bothering him, or like I was admitting I couldn't handle my own life.
Oh, I completely understand that feeling. It is strange, isn't it? Asking for help feels so much harder than it should.
It really does. And finally, on day 4, the sink got even louder, and I just had to do it. I walked over and I said something like, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but could I maybe get your advice on something?"
And what happened?
He lit up, genuinely lit up. He said, "Finally, someone in this building asks me things." He fixed it in 10 minutes, and then we talked for an hour about his garden.
See, that is exactly what I always tell people. Most people love being asked for advice. It makes them feel useful and respected.
You are so right. And that whole experience got me thinking about how many of us feel that same awkwardness, not just in our own language, but especially when we have to do it in English.
Oh, that is such a good point, Jack. Because asking for advice in your first language already feels a little vulnerable. You're basically saying, "I do not know something. Please help me."
Right. And now imagine doing that in a second language. You are worried about your grammar, you are worried about sounding polite enough, and on top of all that, you still have to actually get useful advice out of the conversation.
It is a lot of pressure for one small question.
It really is. And I think a lot of learners either avoid asking for help completely, which means they miss out on great advice, or they ask in a way that sounds too stiff, too formal, almost like they memorized it from a textbook.
I have heard that so many times. Something like, "Excuse me, may I request your assistance regarding a matter?" And it's like, whoa, relax. We are just talking about a sink.
Exactly. It does not need to be that formal. Real English, everyday English, the kind your neighbor or your coworker actually uses, is much warmer and much simpler than people think.
And honestly, that is the whole point of what we do here.
It really is. So welcome everyone to the Living English podcast. If this is your first time listening, I am Jack.
And I am Rose, and together we help you speak English the way it is actually spoken in real life, not just the way it looks in a textbook.
Today's topic connects directly to that story I just told you. We are talking about asking for tips and advice, and this is such a normal, everyday part of life. Choosing a restaurant, fixing something at home, deciding on a career move, even picking a good movie to watch.
All of it involves asking someone, "Hey, what do you think I should do?"
Exactly. And by the end of this episode, you will be able to ask for advice naturally and politely in English, understand the advice someone gives you back, and respond to it in a warm, natural way, whether you agree with it or not.
We are going to walk through real phrases, a full role-play conversation, and plenty of practice. So by the end, this will feel like something you actually own, not something you memorized.
And quickly, before we continue, if you are enjoying these episodes and you want more real, practical English like this, come join us. Just tap that subscribe button. It genuinely helps this little podcast grow, and it means more free lessons for everyone listening.
We would truly love to have you as part of this community.
Okay, Rose, should we get into it?
Let us do it.
So first, let us talk about why this feels hard for so many people, even confident English speakers.
Yes, because I think learners sometimes believe that asking for advice should be simple, and then when it feels awkward, they think something is wrong with them.
Right, but nothing is wrong with you. Asking for advice touches something personal. You are showing that you do not have all the answers, and in some cultures, that can feel uncomfortable to admit out loud.
That is so true. In some places, people are taught to appear confident and independent all the time, so asking for help can feel like a small failure, even though it really isn't.
Exactly the opposite, actually. Most native English speakers see it as a compliment. If you ask someone for advice, you are telling them, I trust your opinion, I value what you know.
And in English, there is a nice range of phrases for this. Some are casual, some are a little more polite. And today we are going to learn both, so you can choose the right one depending on who you are talking to.
Your close friend, your coworker, your boss, a stranger at the store. They all deserve a slightly different tone.
And once you have these phrases ready, honestly, asking becomes so much easier. It stops feeling like a big, scary moment and starts feeling like a normal little exchange.
Which is exactly what it should feel like. Okay, let us bring this to life with a role play. So here's the scene. Rose, you are going to play my friend who just started a new job a few months ago, and I am going to play someone who is nervous about starting mine next week.
Oh, I love this one. Okay, I'm ready.
Hey Rose, do you have a minute? I actually wanted to ask you something.
Of course, what is going on?
So I start my new job on Monday, and honestly, I am a little nervous. Can I ask you something, since you started yours a few months ago?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
What would you do in my position? Like, is there anything you wish someone had told you before your first day?
Oh, that is a good question. Honestly, I wish someone had told me to ask more questions early on, instead of trying to figure everything out by myself.
Really? That is interesting.
Yeah, I spent my first 2 weeks nodding along in meetings, pretending I understood everything, and it just made things harder later.
Oh, I can totally see myself doing that too.
If I were you, I would ask your manager for a quick coffee chat in the first week, just to get to know them a little and ask about expectations.
That is such a good idea. I would not have thought of that on my own.
Also, do you have any tips for remembering everyone's names? Because that was my biggest struggle.
That is actually one of my biggest fears too.
Honestly, what worked for me was writing a little note after meeting someone. Just their name and one small detail. Like, Sarah, works in marketing, loves hiking.
Oh, that is smart. It gives your brain something to connect the name to.
Exactly. It sounds simple, but it really helped.
I really appreciate your advice, Rose. This actually makes me feel a lot calmer about Monday.
I am glad. And listen, it is completely normal to feel nervous. Everyone does, even people who look super confident.
That is comforting to hear, honestly.
One more thing, if I can add it. Do not be afraid to ask the same question twice if you forget the answer. People expect that from someone new.
Okay, that is a great point. I think I was worried about looking like I wasn't paying attention.
No one is judging you like that, I promise. We were all new once.
Thank you, Rose, seriously. I feel so much better now.
Of course. And hey, text me after your first day. I want to hear how it went.
I will, for sure.
Okay, so that was a nice, natural little conversation. Notice how it never felt stiff or scripted, even though we were using some really useful structures.
Right, and that's the goal. The phrases blend into the conversation so naturally that you almost don't notice them until you look closely.
Which is exactly what we are about to do.
Let us do one more role play first, though, because I want to show a slightly different situation, one where the advice is a little unexpected, and the person receiving it has to respond politely, even if they are not totally sure about it.
Oh, I like that, because that happens all the time. Someone gives you advice and you think, I am not sure about that, but you still want to be polite.
Exactly. So this time, Rose, you are my coworker, and I am asking you for advice about a difficult client.
Okay, I am ready. Go for it.
Hey, do you have a second? I wanted to get your advice on something with the Anderson account.
Sure, what is up?
The client keeps changing her mind about the design, and I'm running out of patience, honestly. Do you have any tips for handling someone like that?
That is tricky. Honestly, in my experience, I would just give her 3 final options and tell her the deadline is this Friday, no more changes after that.
I'm not totally sure that would work with her. She doesn't really respond well to deadlines.
Fair enough. You know her better than I do. What about trying a quick phone call instead of emails? Sometimes tone gets lost in writing.
Actually, that might work better. I had not thought of that.
It's worth a shot, at least.
Yeah, you're right. It is worth trying. Thanks. I'll give that a go tomorrow morning.
Let me know how it goes.
See, Rose, that is such a realistic moment. I asked for advice, I got a suggestion I wasn't sure about, and I responded honestly but politely.
Right, and that is such an important skill, because not every piece of advice fits your situation, and it is okay to say so, gently.
Totally. You do not have to pretend to agree with every suggestion just to be polite. There is a respectful way to say, I'm not sure about that.
And then when a better idea comes along, you can say something like, Actually, that might work better, or that's worth a shot.
Those two phrases are so useful, honestly, because they let you accept a new idea without sounding like you were rejecting the first one harshly.
English speakers do this constantly in daily conversation. It keeps things friendly, even when people disagree a little.
It really does. Okay, I think we have enough real examples now. Let's slow down and go through the key phrases one by one, so everyone listening can really lock these into memory.
I love this part. Get ready, everyone. Grab a coffee, get comfortable. We are going to go through this together.
Okay, phrase number 1. Can I ask you something? This is such a gentle, friendly way to open a conversation before you ask for advice. It softens the question and gives the other person a small heads up.
Think of it like knocking on a door before you walk in. You are not just barging in with your question. You are giving a polite little signal first.
I love that comparison. For example, you could say, "Hey, can I ask you something? How did you learn to cook so well?"
Say it with me, everyone. Can I ask you something?
Great. Phrase number 2. What would you do in my position? Or the shorter version, what would you do? This is perfect when you want someone to imagine themselves in your exact situation.
It is like handing someone your shoes for a moment and asking them to walk in them, just for the conversation.
For example, I'm torn between 2 job offers. What would you do in my position?
Say it with me, everyone. What would you do in my position?
Phrase number 3. Do you have any tips for? This one is great for specific skills or specific situations. Do you have any tips for public speaking? Do you have any tips for saving money?
It is a very natural, casual phrase, and honestly, it's one of the most common ways native speakers ask for advice. Say it with me, everyone. Do you have any tips for? Okay, phrase number 4, and this one is mine to explain. If I were you, I would. This is how you give advice, imagining you are actually in the other person's situation.
Right. So if a friend says they are nervous about an interview, you might say, "If I were you, I would prepare 3 stories about my past work experience."
A nice mental picture for this one is imagining you are literally stepping into their body for a moment, seeing the world through their eyes before you answer.
Say it with me, everyone. If I were you, I would.
Phrase number 5. I would really appreciate your advice. This is a slightly warmer, more heartfelt way to ask for help, especially with something that matters to you personally.
It carries a little more emotional weight than just, "Can you help me?" It says, "Your opinion truly matters to me here."
For example, I am thinking about moving to a new city, and I would really appreciate your advice.
Say it with me, everyone. I would really appreciate your advice.
Phrase number 6. That is a great point. This is how you respond when someone gives you advice that genuinely makes sense to you. It shows you are really listening and thinking, not just nodding automatically.
Say it with me, everyone. That is a great point. Phrase number 7. I had not thought of that. This one is wonderful because it shows real, honest surprise. You are admitting that the idea is genuinely new to you, and that is a compliment to the other person.
It is like someone handing you a puzzle piece you did not even know was missing, and suddenly the picture makes more sense.
For example, someone suggests calling instead of emailing, and you say, "Oh, I hadn't thought of that. That is smart."
Say it with me, everyone. I had not thought of that.
Phrase number 8. Take it with a grain of salt. This is such a fun one. It means do not fully trust this advice completely. Treat it carefully because it might not be perfectly accurate, or it is just one person's opinion.
I always picture literally sprinkling a tiny bit of salt on the advice before swallowing it. Just a little bit of doubt mixed in. Not total trust, not total rejection.
Exactly. For example, my cousin gave me some investment advice, but honestly, take it with a grain of salt. He's not a financial expert.
Say it with me, everyone. Take it with a grain of salt.
And our final phrase, phrase number 9, it is worth a shot. This means an idea might work, and even if you are not 100% sure, it's worth trying.
Think of it like a basketball player taking a shot they are not totally confident about. But hey, it might go in, so why not try? Say it with me, everyone. It is worth a shot. Okay, so let us recap those 9 phrases quickly before we move into more practice, because repetition really is the secret to remembering these.
Absolutely. We had, "Can I ask you something? What would you do in my position? Do you have any tips for? If I were you, I would really appreciate your advice. That is a great point. I had not thought of that. Take it with a grain of salt. And finally, it is worth a shot."
That is such a strong toolkit already. With just these 9 phrases, you can open a request for advice, receive advice politely, respond honestly whether you agree or not, and offer advice back to someone else too.
Exactly, because remember, this conversation goes both ways. Sometimes you are the one asking, and sometimes you are the one being asked. These phrases work in both directions.
That is such a good point, Jack. I think learners sometimes only prepare for one side of the conversation, but real English happens in both directions constantly.
Totally true. Okay, now let us put these into action again, but this time I want to bring you, the listener, right into the conversation with us.
Yes, this is the fun part. Get ready to practice out loud, everyone, right along with us.
All right, so here is how this practice section works. Rose is going to ask me for advice about something small and everyday, something we all deal with. And I want you, listening at home, to imagine you are actually me in this conversation.
Try saying my lines out loud after I say them, or even before, if you feel confident enough to try it yourself first.
Perfect. Let us begin. Rose, do you have any tips for waking up early? I am always so tired in the mornings.
Oh, honestly, yes. If I were you, I would put my phone alarm across the room, not next to my bed.
That is interesting. Why is that?
Because if it's far away, you physically have to get out of bed to turn it off. And once you're standing up, you're much less likely to go back to sleep.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. That actually makes a lot of sense.
It really works for me. Also, try opening your curtains right when you wake up. Natural light helps your brain realize it's morning.
That is a great point. Okay, I am definitely going to try both of those tonight.
Let me know how it goes, all right?
I will, for sure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your advice.
Anytime.
Okay, now let us flip it. This time, I am going to ask the listener a question directly. And Rose, you can respond as if you were the listener too, just to model it.
Perfect. I'm ready.
All right, listener, imagine your friend just asked you, do you have any tips for learning English faster? What would you say?
Well, if I were you, I would try listening to something in English every single day, even just for 10 minutes.
That is such a good answer, honestly. Even something small and consistent makes a huge difference over time.
Exactly. And I would also say, do not be afraid to make mistakes. That is honestly the fastest way to improve.
I love that advice. And listener, notice how naturally we used if I were you, I would, right there. It fits so smoothly into everyday conversation once you practice it a little.
It really does become automatic. And that is really the whole goal of this episode, to help these phrases become second nature to you, not something you have to translate in your head first.
Exactly. Once they live naturally in your mouth, in your rhythm, they stop feeling foreign and start feeling like your own words.
I love that idea, your own words, because that is really what fluency is, isn't it? Making the language feel like it belongs to you.
Let us also touch on something practical here, a real cultural insight, because I think this is genuinely useful for anyone using English in daily life, especially in Western English-speaking countries.
Oh yes, tell them about this one, Jack. I love this observation.
So, in many English-speaking cultures, when someone gives advice, they often expect a little pushback sometimes. It is actually seen as a healthy, normal part of the conversation.
Right, it is not rude at all to say, I'm not totally sure that would work for me. Or, I see what you mean, but I was thinking something different.
Exactly. In fact, if you just agree with everything immediately without any discussion, some native speakers might actually wonder if you are truly listening or just being polite out of habit.
That is such an important cultural difference to understand. In some cultures, agreeing quickly shows respect, but in a lot of everyday English conversations, a little respectful disagreement actually shows that you are genuinely engaged.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to gently push back, ask follow-up questions, or explain why a suggestion might not work for your specific situation. It's a completely normal, welcome part of the conversation.
And remember those phrases from earlier? Take it with a grain of salt, or, I'm not sure that would work for me. Those give you a polite, natural way to do exactly that.
They really do. Okay, Rose, should we bring this beautiful episode home?
Let's do it.
All right, let us do a quick recap of everything we covered today, because a little repetition really does wonders for memory.
We started with Jack's very relatable sink disaster, and how awkward it can feel to ask someone for help, even when they clearly want to give it.
Then we talked about why asking for advice can feel emotionally tricky, especially in a second language, and how actually most people love being asked. It makes them feel valued and trusted.
We walked through 2 full roleplay conversations, one about starting a new job and one about a difficult client at work, and we saw how natural, everyday English sounds in both situations.
Then we broke down our 9 key phrases. Can I ask you something? What would you do in my position? Do you have any tips for? If I were you, I would. I would really appreciate your advice. That is a great point. I had not thought of that. Take it with a grain of salt, and it is worth a shot.
And finally, we practiced those phrases together in 2 more mini conversations. And we talked about that great cultural insight, that gentle disagreement is a totally normal, healthy part of English conversations.
That is such a full episode, honestly. I feel like we really covered this topic from every angle.
We really did. And I hope everyone listening feels ready to use at least 1 or 2 of these phrases this week.
So here is our question of the day, and we would genuinely love for you to answer this in the comments below.
Yes, please share your answer because honestly, so many other learners feel exactly the same way you do, and reading your comment might help someone else feel a little less alone.
Here is the question. Think about the last time you needed advice about something in your life. Did you ask someone, or did you keep it to yourself? And why?
I am genuinely curious to read your answers. There is no right or wrong here. We just want to hear your real experience.
And if you try any of today's phrases this week, even just once, come back and tell us how it went. We truly love hearing those small real-life wins.
They mean so much to us, honestly. Every comment we read reminds us why we make this podcast in the first place.
Before we wrap up completely, Rose, let us do one last quick little scene, just for fun, showing how naturally these phrases can slide into a totally casual conversation between friends.
I love that idea. Okay, let us pretend we are just hanging out, and you ask me something small.
Hey, actually, can I ask you something? Do you have any tips for choosing a good movie? I always end up scrolling for like an hour and never picking anything.
Honestly, same. If I were you, I would just pick the first one that looks decent instead of overthinking it.
That is such a great point, actually. I definitely overthink small decisions way too much.
We all do sometimes. It's worth a shot, though, just picking quickly and trusting yourself a little more.
I hadn't thought about it that simply, honestly. Thanks, Rose. I really appreciate your advice, even about something as small as movie night.
Anytime, truly, even for the smallest things.
See, that's the beauty of these phrases, everyone. They work for huge life decisions, and they work for something as tiny as choosing a movie on a Friday night.
I love that you brought it full circle like that, Jack, because it really shows how flexible this English actually is.
It really is. And I hope after listening today, asking for advice in English feels a little less scary and a little more like something you can genuinely enjoy doing.
Because at the end of the day, asking for help is not a weakness at all. It is actually a really human, really connecting thing to do in any language.
Beautifully said. And to everyone listening, wherever you are right now, on a walk, cooking dinner, commuting somewhere, just know that every single episode you finish is real, genuine progress, even if it does not always feel that way in the moment.
It truly is progress. Learning a language is not a straight line. It is full of small steps just like this one, and you should be proud of every single one of them.
We are so glad you spent this time with us today. If this episode helped you even a little, remember there are more real, practical conversations like this one waiting for you right here on Living English Podcast.
And whenever you are ready, we would truly love to have you subscribed so you never miss a new episode.
Before we go, Rose, do you have any tips for our listeners as they head off into their day?
I love that you asked me that right here at the end. Honestly, my tip is simple. Try using just one phrase from today, even once, in a real conversation this week.
That is such a great point. Small, real practice beats big, perfect plans every single time.
It really does. Take care of yourselves out there, everyone, and be kind to yourselves while you learn.
Until next time, this has been the Living English Podcast. And remember, every conversation you have in any language is a little piece of courage.
See you in the next episode, everyone.